Thank you, Dr. Segar. Very good morning to all of you, and to Jain for us and Nati. And first of all, I thank Professor Ashutosh Sharma for inviting me to be part of this important TRIPS 2025. I am humbled by this invitation because this time I want to make sure that I have to be here. Because last 2-3 occasions he invited me, but somehow I couldn't make it. So I make it sure that today I have to be here. So I'm happy that I'm here. And I also wish Professor Ashutosh Sharma, of course, he is a man of contribution in all areas, technology, research, innovation, and also policy. So also, for a short time, he was also secretary to Ministry of Sciences. So thank you for inviting Professor Ashutosh Sharma. And today I will talk about just what is the, you all know that our Honorable Prime Minister has envisioned 2047 as a Chip Bharat. So in that endeavor, how the science and technology, especially Ministry of Health Sciences, how we can contribute that to that endeavor from the health science perspective. So that is what I want to highlight. Of course, this is a very small ideas of what is DRDO, but my main motivation to present this slide is to get your feedback and your input, and also to contribute to this important mission of health science mission. So, before starting that, just I want to give a glimpse of what is Ministry of Health Sciences. Of course, the Ministry of Health Sciences is to holistically look at all 5 spheres: atmosphere, hydrosphere, geosphere, cryosphere, and its associated biosphere. We holistically look at it. For this, we try to observe and try to collect data, transform knowledge and information, and provide various services. For this, we have roughly about 10 institutions. And most of the institutions, you may be knowing that there are 2 subordinate institutions. One is the India Meteorological Department and also National Center for Meteorology and Weather Forecast, and 3 attached offices of National Center for Climate Research and Center for Marine Living Resources and the National Center for Seismology. And there are about 5 autonomous institutions, especially National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, and Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, and Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services, and National Institute of Ocean Technology, and National Center for Health Science Studies. So these are the 5 autonomous institutions. So these all 5 institutions work together for the mission of health sciences, apart from many academia and industries. So when we talk about what is our future priorities in health science perspective, so these are some of the list. But of course, I always feel that when you talk about future priorities, these are the 3 basic elements we are working towards, especially energy, water, food. These are the 3 primes apart from health. Of course, health means I prefer here one health. One health means not only human health but also planet health as well as ecosystem health. See, all these 4 elements, how it is changing in the changing climate change, changing global scenario, how it is evolving, how we can get whatever the resources. At the same time, we need to have various hazards and how to mitigate the hazards in a sustainable way of harness the resources. So these are the basic objectives. For that, we have a list of items, basically some of the resources we want to harness, and then how we can enhance our disaster preparedness and mitigation. And there are some various components which we are thinking about. I will list out here. So the first, each one, what is our dream? That's what I want to highlight. So in the atmosphere, basically the meteorological perspective, our dream is to make Bharat basically weather ready and climate smart. So what it means, basically, we have envisaged about 2 prime objectives. One is to improve the weather forecast from the present level to at least 1 order higher, because you all know that the weather forecast in tropics is very complex and both spatially and temporal scales are changing dramatically, extremes are increasing day by day. So I think we need to have a better prediction system. For that, what we need to do, that is number one. That is basically we want to have a forecast in all scales, so we cannot only depend on atmosphere, so we need to depend on not only atmosphere but also ocean and then polar regions, how it is contributing from lightning second time scale to maybe the large medium time scale, how we can forecast. That is our get system approach. And the second one is transition. Basically now not only weather forecast, how we can go beyond weather forecast, whether intervention can be doing, or maybe we can have a weather management. I mean weather management means basically now the weather is managing us, but whether we can manage weathers. That is the main priority here. For that, now next 5 years, our agenda is to strengthen various observing systems, not only in the atmosphere but also in the ocean and polar regions. We want to have a significant radical change in the observing system, not only in situ but also remote sensing radars as well as satellites. And also we want to go for various understanding factors. So we are aiming towards go for various fine scale observations, not only from aircraft but also various aspects we are looking at it. And then finally we want to reach our forecast to the common man, how we can reach to the common man. That's the main objective we are looking at. Of course, you all know that UN also envisaged the what is called UN early warning for all. That is basically no countryman should not deprive of weather information. That means it has to reach all the people at all times. That is the main objective. So for that we want to have some weather intervention, as I told. So we want to go for weather management. For that, first we have to start for weather forecast. So we need to understand more and more and weather modification. Then finally we have to go for weather management. So when we want to go for weather management, obviously we need to know better than what is knowledge. The knowledge what we have to gain is much more. So that is why we need more and more human capital to understand the various weather components, not only physics, chemistry and biology, but also various components at different time scales. So that is the only we are looking at weather management. So under this objective, so recently you all know that Govt has initiated as a private project. It is a mission MoES. So that mission MoES is basically to address various infrastructure requirements for the next 5 years. It is a very high ambitious project, and it is roughly about next 5 years, roughly about 20,000 crore. It is not only for observations but also various components, aircraft and satellite all put together. So I think this is a mission. I look forward some of you to come forward to work together so that we can go for the weather management aspect. So the second aspect I want to talk about the ocean. You all know that the ocean is having oceans of opportunity, but so it is having a challenge. So the opportunity, you can say that it is having it provides food and it feeds us, and you know that half of the oxygen it comes from the ocean. Every alternative breath we are getting from the ocean, phytoplankton, and also it is having source of living resources, non-living resources, and many things are there. But what we are harnessing is very, very limited. So whether we can go for harnessing ocean resources. Of course, when you are going for harnessing various ocean resources, we are also having a lot of challenges. Some of the challenges are climatic, and some of the challenges are non-climatic or man-made challenges, and some of the challenges, technological challenges. That means we don't understand or we don't have a technology to harness or to mitigate various challenges. So these are the important things which we need to embark on in the coming years. And for that, actually, the government has started the pilot project. Of course, it is a deep position. I will come back to what are the various deep positions. Just I want to highlight some of the important components of the ocean where we can harness. One is the living resources. The presently the fisheries has produced in roughly about 1% of GDP. But we are only attracting only the coastal fisheries. I think we need to go for beyond coastal fisheries, deep sea fisheries, even we can go for southern ocean fisheries, and various techniques we have to inbuild in our system so that we can provide from 1% of GDP to 2%. That means we have to aim for at least 2% from the fisheries sector or living resources. Similarly, when you talk about non-living resources, all the three components, either you take renewable energy, fresh water, or minerals, it is a plenty. You may be surprised to know that the renewable energy is available from the ocean is roughly about 9 lakh terawatts in our Indian needs, but not even 0.1% we are harnessing. Of course, there are some technological challenges, something is cost effective. So we have to have a new innovation technology or somehow out of the box ideas to get the resources into sustainably harnessing any components. And also we have what you all know that the shipping. Of course, the shipping is a 90%, more than 90% of the volume is transported by shipping. But what we are doing it, and also Indian Ocean is very high traffic of the shipping, but we don't have any infrastructure or we don't have any modern methodology of taking the shipping, even simple optimal ship routing or many innovation things are not embedded. So we need to have the shipping ocean infrastructure we have to improve. Then also coastal ecotourism. India is having more than 11,000 kilometer coastline, but we don't have even one or two oceanarium. We don't have the Tube Heritage Park. We don't have any of the ecotourism park. So I think it is important that we need to build this type of information. And also marine trade and services. Mainly it is thinking about in the coastal infrastructure, we need to have MSME related industries so that we can, because most of the people, fishermen or boat structures are imported from outside. Small hook and nets are imported. I think we need to develop the marine industries all along the coast. That is the main objective. And also we need to worry about the security. And lastly, we need to have a more and more innovation as well as R&D and human capital. So while harnessing the ocean resources, we have to also think about the various hazards coming from the ocean, either it is tsunami, cyclone associated with the storm surges, or you can have a coastal flooding or any other slow-moving type like the sea level rise or coastal erosion. All these things, how to mitigate and how we can go about that also to be. So finally, what we need to do in the ocean, we are going for the what is called blue economy concept. So we need to go for the present blue economy component to the national GDP is roughly about 4%. Can we go for double digit? It is 8% or it is a double digit 10%. Double digit contribution or maybe double digit whether we can go ahead. That is our objective in the mixed world. I am sure that with various technologies available as well as various innovations available, we can definitely achieve this target. Towards achieving this target, I think the Government of India has instituted a pilot project, which is a deep ocean mission with the budget provision of about 100 crore, wherein we want to develop a technology and also we want to have an exploration of various non-living and living resources, but also biodiversity and also various drugs from the sea and other pharmaceuticals and other things. Coming back to the third sphere, it is a cryosphere. Of course, the cryosphere is very important because the polar regions is warming much faster than the global mean. Even if you take the total Arctic, it is 4 times warming faster than global mean. So the polar regions are drying. That is the first region which is drying, so that we can see and understand how the impact of climate change various polar regions. So our main objective in the polar regions is to emerge as a leader in polar regions. Of course, it is not only for the science, for the climate change or the monsoon understanding, but also it's a geopolitics and geostrategy. That is the main purpose which we are looking for these polar regions. I will come out some of the two of the important aspects why the polar regions are important for the region. Of course, this is just to highlight where we are present. We have 2 Antarctic stations and 1 in Arctic and 1 in Himalaya at 5,000 meters above the mean sea level. So we know in Antarctic and Arctic we are doing some science. We have envisaged roughly about 2 policies. Of course, now one is a policy, Arctic policy, and other one is Antarctic law during last 3 years. So what we want to do is our Arctic, our polar governance, our polar strategy is a science program. So what we are doing science, it is for indirect impact is a strategy as well as the policy, what we need to do in the future. What I want to say is coming back to simple and Arctic. Suppose if it is Arctic belt, what happens to the country? So I want to say 4 impact actually in India perspective or globally. Number one is a climate change. Whatever is happening in Arctic, definitely it is impacting all the globe, but more importantly India. What it is happening is the CX reduction in the Arctic is always accompanied with the Indian extreme rainfall, and whenever there is an extreme rainfall is happening in India, the amount of latent heat released in the cloud or in the atmosphere, it all the way goes to the Arctic. There is a feedback mechanism, melting more extreme, melting more extreme. So we need to understand this much better, and also we need to do what is to be done. That is the climate change science. Second thing is the resources. Resources in the non-living and living resources. You really know in 30% of the oil reserve, and also there are about minerals in the central Arctic. Because of the sphere is rotating, all the non-living organisms, not only oils, but also gas and everything is in the central Arctic, which is not so far not harnessed by anybody. Once the CIS is melted, then everybody will rest because not only 8 Arctic states, but also in the central Arctic is a global problem. So we need to think about what we need to do for that. And also the living resources, now we all know because of the global warming, all the tropical species is migrating to mid-latitude species is migrating to polar regions. So in the coming decades and more, the polar regions will be having both living resources as well as non-living resources plenty. Apart from that, northern sea route, that means a person wants to go now from Japan to Europe, he has to go via Indian Ocean. It takes about 40 days, but if it goes in the Arctic route, it can take only about 25 days. That means shipping corridor of the global shipping corridor will change. If shipping corridor changes, what is our strategy that we need to think about? So all the 4 aspects we need to think about. So for that we need to build an Indian narrative apart from the various science and other questions to be addressed. And also we have a Himalaya. You all know that Himalaya is 1.9 million people are dependent on Himalayan rivers, Himalayan water. But we don't know how much this water tank is having volume of water. We know the area survey, so how much glaciers are there and other things. But we are not knowing what is the depth of the glacier, so we don't know what is the volume of water is available. One day suddenly it may come dry. So what is our strategy? Already people are making the water pressure in various countries, so we need to plan a strategy for Himalayan region as well. Also, Southern Ocean is very important for India because the important what is called the fishery resources. 50% of the biomass is available in Southern Ocean, which is not, we have not touched it. 10% of the biomass or fisheries is available in the Arctic, and remaining 50% is available in the Southern Ocean. So we need to worry about this 60% of biomass available in the ocean, how we can harness. We have a quota, but we have not utilized so far. I think this our endeavor, how we can motivate our industries and policymakers to drive the Southern Ocean fisheries, especially minerals and other things. And also it is that the Southern Ocean is very important impact on the monsoon modulations. So some of the polar sites, what are the science we require and policy related? Just I want to say that in 2020 is a polar decade. Why I am saying that? Because the Antarctic Treaty as of now 2048 will be end. So afterwards, whether we have to go and grab the land in Antarctica, what is our strategy? Whether this Antarctic Treaty will be extended, we don't know. And 2040, there will be no Arctic sea ice in summer as per prediction. Then what is our strategy? And 2040, the water volume is available in the Himalaya, it will get half. So what is our strategy? So in 2040, it will be a huge problem in polar regions. So we need to plan our strategy, how we can, how do we go about in this polar regions. That is what we need to think about. And the last one I will talk about geosphere. Basically, in geosphere, there are two things. One is the geology and geophysics. Mainly, we are looking at various resources, especially mineral resources and water resources and various natural resources. We are looking at it. And also, in the geological perspective, we want to have more and more curious questions we want to address in the geological timescales and other things. But ultimately, what we want to do is geosphere. Basically, we want to go for seismology. Basically, early earthquake warning. We cannot predict the earthquake, but we can predict the impending danger when it comes to secondary wave. That we can tell using the primary wave whether we can tell when the secondary wave will come. At least even few seconds before we are able to tell. That is the saving of life and property. So this is what I want to conclude my earth science mission. One is atmosphere, basically the weather forecast, the present weather forecast. We have to improve the forecast, and finally we have to go for weather management through the mission of mission Ocean. Then the ocean, the blue economy, we need to double the blue economy component in 2047. And polar region, we need to be a leader and significant player because there is a lot of geopolitics and strategies there. So we need to place our Indian narrative in polar regions. And the last one, geosciences. Basically, we want to have an early earthquake warning and also explore non-living resources in the ocean as well as in the other regions. So these are the things which we are aiming. Of course, we need to observe more, we need to understand more, and we need to model and deliver the products and services for the people. So our objective is to do science and translate science to service for the benefit of society. So with this, I request all of any of you, maybe contribute this mission, maybe I may be very limited objective, maybe you can, some of the things I cannot left out, maybe you can always send a message or mail to me, and we can have more and more discussion so that together we can build what we can contribute from the earth science perspective to the national. Thank you.